Big Meech, bro, I ain't gonna lie. That man got to that compound, and man, he had some of the guys I would never think that would get EMF, ENT on the left side of their neck, man.
And Cohen is a government informant. So they tell me, he says, you know what this is about? And I said, no. He said, well, you threatened a government informant, and that's a federal.
You know, it's selective politics, and it's selective who they gonna call a rat or who they not gonna call.
The whispers have echoed for years, a persistent undercurrent in the sprawling saga of the Black Mafia family. Did Big Meech, the charismatic and formidable leader of one of the most notorious drug empires in American history, commit the ultimate transgression in the eyes of the streets? Did he, in the face of overwhelming federal pressure, betray the code that defined his world to secure an early exit from prison? The narrative, amplified by the fiery pronouncements of figures like 50 Cent, paints a stark picture of a man who chose freedom over loyalty, a deal struck in the clandestine corners of the justice system that compromised the very principles upon which BMF was built. But beneath the sensational headlines and the heated exchanges of hip-hop beef, what if the reality is far more intricate, a labyrinth of speculation, conjecture, and deeply personal motivations? For those quick to cast judgment and definitively label Demetrius Flannery a snitch, the supposed smoking gun is often presented as the publicly available court documentation surrounding his case. Yet, a meticulous examination of this very paperwork reveals a critical and often conveniently overlooked detail: the conspicuous absence of any direct evidence placing Big Meech in a position of actively naming names or directly implicating specific individuals in criminal activities to benefit his own legal standing. Despite the intense, years-long federal investigation that ultimately dismantled BMF, and the subsequent scrutiny of every aspect of Meech's life, no irrefutable proof has ever surfaced showing him sitting down with federal agents and offering up his former associates for prosecution. This fundamental lack of direct implication remains a significant and often inconvenient truth for those propagating the narrative of his betrayal. Adding a powerful and credible countervoice to this contentious debate is the unwavering testimony of individuals who shared the harsh realities of incarceration alongside Big Meech. Terrence "Gangster" Williams, a respected figure within street circles who served substantial time concurrently with the BMF kingpin, has emerged as a staunch defender, unequivocally and vehemently refuting the allegations of snitching. Drawing upon his first-hand experience within the confined world of federal prison, Gangster Williams paints a portrait of a leader who, even stripped of his considerable street power and facing a lengthy prison sentence, commanded immense respect among his fellow inmates. This wasn't a respect born of fear or intimidation, but rather a recognition of Meech's character, his stoicism, and his adherence to a certain code of conduct, even within that environment. Gangster's accounts consistently portray Meech as a man who held his head high and never engaged in the kind of behavior that would earn him the label of informant within the prison hierarchy. The swirling rumors and accusations invariably gravitate towards the involvement of Tammy Cowan, identified in court documents under the sterile designation of Confidential Source 1, CS1. It is undeniable that her cooperation with federal authorities played a significant role in the legal proceedings against Big Meech and undoubtedly influenced the ultimate outcome of his sentencing. However, a crucial distinction must be made between the act of someone being directly implicated by a defendant and a third party providing information to law enforcement that may indirectly lead to benefits for that defendant. The core argument against the Meech snitched narrative hinges on the absence of evidence demonstrating that Meech himself actively solicited or directly participated in providing information to the feds that was then used to prosecute others. The cooperation of Tammy Cowan, while impactful, does not automatically equate to Big Meech himself betraying his associates. Gangster Williams offers compelling anecdotes that further illuminate Meech's conduct during his time behind bars, directly challenging the image of a man who had abandoned the principles of loyalty and discretion. He vividly describes how inmates from all walks of life, regardless of their own formidable reputations or affiliations, consistently showed Meech genuine deference and respect. There were no instances of Meech attempting to curry favor with the authorities at the expense of others, no whispers of him leveraging information for personal gain within the prison system. More tellingly, Gangster recounts specific instances where individuals attempted to align themselves with Meech, hoping for future connections or assistance upon their release. Meech, however, consistently rebuffed these advances, making it unequivocally clear that he was focused on his own situation and would not be making promises or brokering deals that might involve compromising others or drawing them into his legal battles. This unwavering stance speaks volumes about his commitment to a certain code, even in the isolating environment of federal prison. The narrative takes a particularly compelling turn when considering the documented opportunity Meech had to evade capture altogether before his eventual arrest in 2005. Facing the full weight of the sprawling federal investigation and the near certainty of a lengthy prison sentence, Meech possessed the resources, the connections, and the wherewithal to vanish across international borders. He could have leveraged his considerable wealth and established networks to disappear into a country with no extradition treaty, effectively living out his days beyond the reach of American law enforcement. Yet, he made a conscious and deliberate choice to remain, ultimately facing the charges head-on. This pivotal decision, interpreted by many within the streets as an act of profound loyalty to his family and a testament to his unwavering character, stands in stark and undeniable contrast to the expected behavior of someone willing to betray their associates for personal expediency. His choice to face the consequences, rather than abandoning his world and those within it, is a significant piece of the puzzle that often gets overlooked in the rush to judgment. The recent and highly publicized resurgence of the Big Meech snitched debate appears inextricably intertwined with the complex and at times volatile dynamic between Big Meech himself, the hip-hop mogul Rick Ross, and the media impresario 50 Cent. Following Meech's long-awaited release from federal custody, his public association with Rick Ross, a figure with his own storied past and significant influence in the music industry, ignited an immediate and intense reaction from 50 Cent, the driving force behind the successful BMF television series. Almost instantaneously, 50 Cent resurrected the long-standing accusations of Meech being a federal informant, even going so far as to publicly suggest the potential cancellation or alteration of the very show that had significantly amplified Meech's legend in popular culture. The timing of these pronouncements raises legitimate questions about the underlying motivations. Could this be a genuine and unwavering pursuit of some long-held truth? Or are there perhaps layers of personal animosity, business rivalries, and the intricate dynamics of the entertainment industry significantly influencing this renewed scrutiny? It is a crucial point to consider that the paperwork frequently cited by 50 Cent as irrefutable proof of Meech's alleged snitching has been in the public domain for a considerable period. If these documents unequivocally and definitively demonstrated Meech's direct involvement in providing incriminating information against others, it begs the question, why was 50 Cent seemingly comfortable building a highly successful and lucrative television franchise centered around Meech's life and the BMF saga for so many years? This apparent inconsistency in his stance, shifting from profiting off the BMF narrative to vehemently denouncing its central figure as a snitch only after Meech's association with a perceived rival, suggests that there may be factors at play beyond a simple and objective pursuit of historical accuracy. The very definition and implications of the term snitching within the context of street culture carry immense weight and often involve a complex set of unspoken rules and understandings. Does the act of snitching solely and exclusively refer to directly naming names and providing explicit testimony to law enforcement that leads to the arrest and conviction of others? Or does it extend to any form of cooperation, direct or indirect, that ultimately results in a defendant receiving a reduced sentence or other benefits in their legal case? Even if it is accepted that Tammy Cowan provided information that ultimately proved beneficial to Big Meech's legal defense, the fundamental and often unaddressed question remains: did Meech himself actively solicit, authorize, or even have knowledge of the specific information she provided and how it would be used against others? Without concrete and verifiable evidence of his direct participation in such a scenario,